Today we're going to be talking about how to solve an equation with two variables, and we're also going to talk about how to solve a linear equation and graph it. Alright, so the first thing that we need to know is what a solution is. By definition, a solution with a graph is any ordered pair that makes the equation true. For example, 9, 3 is a solution of x plus y equals 12 because if you plug in 9, which is x, and 3, which is y, into this equation, 9 plus 3 is 12, which we know is true. Alright, so for example, if I have determined if negative 3, 2 is a solution of y equals 2x plus 8. So if I were to take y equals 2x plus 8, and I were to input negative 3 for x, because in our ordered pair x always comes first, and 2 for y, let's see if it is in fact a solution. So if I have 2 equals 2 times negative 3 plus 8. Alright, well I have 2 equals, and 2 times negative 3 is negative 6, plus 8. Alright, negative 6 plus 8 is 2. And so since the equation comes out as 2 equals 2, which we know is true, we can say yes, negative 3, 2 is in fact a solution of y equals 2x plus 8. Alright, so basically the whole idea is you're just plugging and solving and making sure that the equations are equal. If for whatever reason this is 2 and this were to come out as 3, it would not be a solution. Your answer would be no then. Alright. Alright, moving on to the second part of our lesson today, we're going to talk about linear equations. And before we start, we're just going to go over the definition of what a linear equation is. There's some different parts. It lies on a line, okay? When an equation with two variables has many solutions, you can show these on a graph. You can graph these using a table. Alright, an example of this would be y equals 38 plus 4x. Alright, so this is the official definition of what a linear equation is. Okay, you can use linear equations to actually solve problems and graph equations. Alright, so in this next example, what we're going to do is we're actually going to use a table of values to solve some solutions for y and x, and then we're going to use those coordinate pairs to graph our linear equation. So we have y equals x plus 2. Alright, so what I'm going to need to do first is I can pick some x values. I can pick 1, 2, and 3 just to figure out what would make this equation true. So if I were to put x is equal to 1, what would my y equal? Well, it would equal 3. If I were to plug 2 in for x, I would have 2 plus 2, and so my y would equal 4. And if I were to have 3 plugged in for x, I would have 3 plus 5, and so my y would equal 5. Alright, there we go. Alright, so using this table, I can actually go through and um, graph these points. So if I were to graph the coordinate pair 1, 3, I could go 1 up to 3, and that would be my first point. All right, my second point would be 2, so I'm going to go 1, 2, then up to 4. All right, and my last point, 3, all the way up to 5. All right, now as you can see, using these points, we can actually create a line that goes through all 3 points. Okay? All right, so you can do this again, all right, to solve for these, to use the same method to solve other examples. So for example, it says graph y equals 3x plus 1. Okay, we're going to use the table. So we have 3x plus 1. I'm just choosing 1, 2, and 3, which is pretty basic. Okay, so if I were to plug 1 in for x, we would have 3 times 1 plus 1, which would be 4. Okay, if I were to plug 2 in, I would have 3 times 2 plus 1, which would be 3 times 2 is 6, plus 1 is 7. Alright, if I were to plug 3 in for x, I would have 3 times 3 plus 1, which would be 9 plus 1, which equals 10. Alright, so then I can use these points to again graph. So I'm going to go 1 up to 4. Okay, the next I'm going to go 2 up to 7. Okay, and 3, 10. So I'm going to go over 3 on the x-axis and up 10 on the y-axis. And again, I'm going to be able to draw my line through these points to create my graph. All right, if you want some additional practice with this, you can go through and try solving one of these tables to complete y equals 1/3 x minus 4, and then you could try graphing it. It's just good practice for you. All right. All right, that's all I have for you today. Make sure you come to class prepared to learn to practice all of these skills.